how on earth do we get this accelerometer onto the handle of a tool? So we'll just pop this down for 1 second. And that's where these other packets of equipment come in. So there's 3 packets that should come with your hand-down vibration device. And the first one here I will show you is, it's got a couple of little Allen keys in there, and it's got a small like nut-shaped thing. This is used by the calibration house when they come to calibrate your device rather in the future. So let's say you want to send it for calibration in a year's time, back to Cirrus Research, they're going to use this equipment to help calibrate this device. So you don't need this packet for day-to-day use. So just pop that to one side. It's in there, but that's what it's for. But these other 2 packets are important. So let's have a look at this one. So in here, we have a small block with some slots in it, an Allen key, and some little screws. So the whole point of using an accelerometer is to make sure that we're getting a value from the tool handle. And we need to make sure that that value is as accurate as possible. And the way we do that is we need to make sure we attach this to the tool handle as tightly as possible. And that's what this equipment's for. So this particular block allows us to attach the accelerometer to it. So you'll see there's various holes and things in there and various screws. So what you can do is you can take a screw, pop it through the middle, and then pop this on, and then use the Allen key to attach it. I hope you can see that there, tightly to the block. So you can get it nice and tight to the block. So we've attached the block to the accelerometer. On the block you'll see the angle, which is, what the direction, the x-axis and the y-axis, the z-axis is going straight down through there. And what you're trying to do, if you can, is to get this orientated so that the x and the y and the z-axis are in the same alignment on every tool that you use, but it's really aligned with the way your hand is. Now, it's not 100% important you get it the same every time, but if you are comparing tools, then you really want to try to get these axes lined up in relation to the way your hand is every single time. Now, if you look in the user guide, it'll tell you exactly which direction X, Y, and Z goes. So basically Z goes this way, Y goes that way, etc. So it's a bit complicated to show here, but if you look in the user guide, it's really quite clear as to the way it should be. But it's not vitally important that you do it in that way every time, but it does help comparing one tool with another if you can get the orientation the same every time. So bearing that in mind, we've now got a block in there attached to our accelerometer with some slots in. And I would recommend that every time you use this kit, you basically have with you a number of cable ties, because this is the magic part. So what we're going to do, we can now put the cable tie through that block, and this will now allow us to tighten this whole accelerometer through using that block hard against the tool. And let me demonstrate with a typical tool. Okay, so here we've got a hedge trimmer. Typical tool somebody might use. You're going to hold it with 2 hands. You're going to put one hand here and one hand on there. And let's say we wanted to measure the vibration coming from this part of the handle where our right hand is. So we've got our accelerometer here, and we've attached it to the block, remember, and now we've been able to put a cable tie through it. So what we're going to be able to do is to put this through here and tighten it. So this accelerometer is really, really tight against the handle of the tool. So when we're using it with our right hand here and our left hand here, we'll be able to get the acceleration from the tool handle that's coming through to your hand. Ideally, you want to put the accelerometer as close as possible to the hand without interfering with the use of the tool. Not always easy, but this is typically what you do. And because you're using a cable tie, you can get that really, really tight. Because the tighter it is, the more accurate the acceleration levels that you're going to measure. Imagine if this was quite slack and this was vibrating around and not completely attached to the tool handle, you'd get a very different result than if it was tightly attached. So this is what you basically need to do. So you can use this special little block to put tie wraps through to make sure that the accelerometer is as tight on the tool handle as can possibly be. So we've used this little block here to connect to our accelerometer, where we can attach it really securely to the handle of the tool. Now, sometimes, because of the nature of the device, and for those of you that are really watching closely, you'll notice that this Flymo tool has a handle that actually squeezes. So really, if I'd put it on there, I would have compromised the use of the handle, but I've just used it for demonstration purposes. But luckily, we have another tool, which is this little block here. So again, you can attach it using the same screw, and if I attach it at a slightly different angle, that might be better. Let's just pop that on there, and using our Allen key again, I can tighten this up. You can see you need to be a little bit dexterous, but you'll get there in the end. So once I tighten this up to this, we'll see how this can help us. Just make sure it's nice and tight. Okay. So what we've done here is we attached the accelerometer to this other tool, which is more like a handle shaped. So this is very useful for tools where it's not that easy to put a tie wrap around it using the other block. So in this case, because of the shape of this handle and how the handle operates, it would be much better to use this. So what we're doing is we're basically getting the operator to hold this against the side of the tool while they're using it, and they need to grip it really tight. Okay, so we're not compromising the use of the handle here, the sort of trigger switch, because putting a tie wrap on like I did before would actually compromise that. But in this case, we're using this so somebody's holding this as tight as possible against the handle. It's not as ideal as using the tie wraps or the cable ties with this little block, but sometimes you haven't got a choice because of the design of the tool and the design of the handle. So that's why you have a second block, so people can actually hold it very, very tightly onto the tool. That will pick up the vibration that's going through the operator's hands. So that's what that second piece is used for. Just be careful. You may have to use that sometimes. If at all possible, I would always use this particular block, because then you will get the tightest fit for the accelerometer against the handle of the tool.